Colin Ellam is the Chief Executive Officer of Cohesive, the leading asset management consulting and digital integration services provider. With more than 30 years of experience, he has worked across a wide range of industries, supporting the build, operations, life extension, and decommissioning of some of the world's most complex and highly regulated assets. A true leader in his field, Colin has guided companies in seizing the advantages of value-led digital solutions and forward-thinking approaches that drive lasting transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage Colin Ellam.
Morning, everybody. So I left Manchester a day ago, and it was raining, and I got to Sydney, and it's raining, so thank you very much for making me feel at home. So really pleased to be here. Thanks to Hans and Kendra for their talks. I'm going to give you a little bit of perspective on AI, but from basically a national and a company and an individual level. And these I'm going to discuss with you and share some thoughts I'm being asked about and the advice I'm giving to countries that are looking at AI and developing AI, companies that want to adopt AI and what it means for them, and then individuals looking at complex asset management issues and what it means to them. Because AI is such a huge thing, but what actually is it, right? So, is that moved? Oh, that was one behind. So, like I said, I'm going to talk about AI and just give you some context, and it's absolutely mind-blowing just from an asset owner perspective and an national infrastructure perspective. And then we'll talk a little bit, like I said, at the policy level, the company level, and the individual level where the rubber hits the road. And a lot of you will be thinking, what's in it for me, type of thing. So it's massive, right? And we're being asked, and I've been involved in this quite a few years now. So I, as well as running Cohesive, I advise developers on developing aspects of national infrastructure. And one of the emerging topics, and something I've been working on for probably 5 or 6 years now, is things like the campus model. And you'll see this is actually being played out in the US now. There's 3 different developments in the UK being played out now, where they're looking at how they combine not just the AI data centers, but the power sources that come along with it. Because there's a couple of bottlenecks within the whole national infrastructure when it comes to AI. One is the actual processing units that you need for the huge data centers that are coming. And these things are absolutely massive. There's one being built in Blythe in the northeast of England at the minute, and it was a site that was going to be ring fenced for EV batteries. And they canned it, and it's going to be a huge data center now. And AI data centers are different to normal data centers in the sense of you have CPUs, so your processing units for normal data. But in AI, it's more graphical based, so the volume of data that comes through these things is absolutely enormous. So the power consumption is absolutely enormous. It's 3 times a normal data center. So people are going, right, who's manufacturing all these GPUs, these graphical processing units, right? And McKinsey had a report out, and they were saying every year for the next 10 years, 30% more GPUs are going to have to be manufactured to meet the demand of AI. So imagine that 30% a year from now, and we're already in it, right? So it's a huge thing. But then the power sources, what's going to power these things, right? Already countries are wondering about have they got enough power to just meet social needs. And if you look at the US, for instance, it's predicted they need something about 120, 130 gigawatts of extra power just to meet AI demands. Now, to put that in context, their nuclear fleet, the whole US nuclear fleet, is around 90 gigawatts, 95 gigawatts. So they have to build basically their whole nuclear fleet again on top just to meet AI demands, right? So as asset owners, we're thinking, this is brilliant, right? Absolutely brilliant, right? There's going to be these huge data centers. There's going to be these massive power sources, and it all needs building, or designing, building, and then operating and maintaining, right? So it's good stuff, really good stuff for us. So these are things at a policy level that the countries are looking at. One emerging topic that I get asked about a lot is around sovereignty. So where is our data? Everyone says it's in the cloud. Where? Where actually is it? Now, if I've got a defense system, and as you know, in the UK, in Europe, it's a hot topic at the minute, and we're building these sophisticated high-end defense systems, and there's all these drones and things like that being developed. And where's the data? What's driving that? And where's it all being backed up to? So sovereignty of data, where it resides, who's building it. So a lot of in-country build is happening to support highly restricted, secure data environments to allow companies to develop their own sort of environments within country and maintain security aspects. And there's one development I'm involved in. They have not just defense security aspects, but the nuclear aspects on security all wrapped into one site, right? Because it's so important. And then power sovereignty. Where's our power come from? So the UK particularly has got itself in a pickle, right? So we've got power lines coming from France providing us power. France are 80% nuclear, ironically. So we're consuming French power. We take gas from Norway. We're interconnected. But could we be self-sufficient, right? Australia's in a very, very different position, right? You've got masses of natural resources that you can take benefit from. So that goes on to that second point where we were talking to the Saudis about oil, right? They're changing their philosophy. Yes, they export a lot of oil, but they want to stop doing it. They want to sell product. They want to export product. So they're keeping the oil in country and processing it and selling polyethylenes or whatever fuels to the market because it's a lot more value add. So if you take a country like Australia, you've got tons of this stuff, right? You've got uranium, you've got coal, you've got gas, everything, right? How can you convert all that to product and get it to market or keep it in country to provide power sources and other things to drive this revolution, if you like, in AI? So that's playing out in a lot of countries. So if you look at Canada, for instance, another big uranium deposit country, they've rekindled and restarted their nuclear program, not just the big nukes, but small modular reactors as well. I love this third box, and it falls into the fourth box as well. I mentioned before these campus models, which are starting to emerge, and there's two developments in the UK, one in the northwest and one in the northeast, and this is already started in the US, where you say, right, I'm going to build a new power source. In this case, it's small modular reactors or AMRs, advanced modular reactors. Could be anything, though. It could be solar, it could be wind, it could be whatever, right? Then you build the consumption of that power around the power source. Then you build the housing and the people and the social aspects of that community. So you could develop a whole new community around the power source. And what's nice about that, it's very, very localized. And one of the developments we're working on at the minute and advising on, no power's going on the grid. So it's all what they call behind the meter. It's consumed locally, so the cost of power drops dramatically, both from a data center point of view, but also the takeoff as well. So a lot of these big AI data centers have a huge, they create a lot of heat. So can you pull the heat off for different industrial purposes? Can you pull the heat off the reactors for other purposes? So it's creating this whole environment locally, and the locals love it because it gives you sovereignty and localized power and jobs, and the bills just plummet. So it's good for all, but just needs that step back and and thought going into it. And again, somewhere like Australia with the room that you've got, this is all doable, really, really doable. And then the impact on society, and we've mentioned this before, the policy around access to AI, what does it really mean, especially around not just our youngsters who are getting consumed by this stuff, and making sure that they have enough about them that they don't believe everything they see, right? But also that spills into the workplace, so the governance, where, like I said, where data resides, what sort of policies you want to put in place from a country level to keep people safe and managed properly, because we don't know where this is going yet in the big scheme of things. So I'll take it down a level now to companies. So where do you start with it, right? One is huge opportunity. So what's it going to do for you as a company? And how do you adopt AI? And how does it play into what you want to do? If you don't do it, someone else is going to do it. That's for sure, right? So the one thing you can't do is stand still. And and there's two strategies playing out for companies at the minute. One is incremental adoption, where they look at core processes or use cases and stuff, and they adopt them slowly and just bring it into the business slowly. The other one is, I've seen others go, this is moving way, 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 way too quick for us, right? We just can't get our heads around this. We haven't got the capabilities. It's moving so quickly. We're going to do a leapfrog strategy. So they're going to pause for a couple of years and then jump. Adopt that, move to that, and then wait a couple of years, not wait, but just use it, wait for all the developments to happen, then jump again. You could argue both ways, whether you learn on the fly or you take these leapfrogs. Either way, it's got to be within your company strategies. And, you know, these 5, 10-year strategies, I wouldn't go more than 18 months at the minute, because it's moving so quickly. But the overriding thing, and Kendra mentioned this earlier as well, and Hans, is data. If you haven't got a grip of your data and understand where your data is it accurate? Where is it? Have you collated it? Who owns it is becoming a big issue. What the machine learning tools, AI itself, and what it's running analytics across loads and loads of data. What is this data? Where's it from, right? So getting a grip of it, bringing it all together. We've just started on a program in the UK on the defence side of things, and imagine across land, sea, and air all their data sets for all the assets, right? Everything from aircraft carriers down to rifles. Imagine their data sets. They're all over the place. They're in the stores. They're across, they're in Excel, they're in paper, they're all these types of things, and yet they want to manage the whole asset base. How on earth are they going to do that, right? So getting a grip of that is super important. If I was investing, that's where I would invest, and then AI will happen over and above that. And then learning, always be learning, always looking out for different industries and who's doing what with AI and how it affects you in your circumstances. Every asset owner is different. You know, you've got rail, you've got power, you've got people that work in the tech side. You know, there's so many asset owners and different use cases. Just stay abreast of it and learn from, you know, is it working in banking? Is it working in the retail side of the world? And how can we apply those retail things into what we do in more heavier industries? And then I always say, don't lose HI, your human intelligence, right? Skills are going to change. We know this. But AI is not going to replace the people. People with AI skills are going to replace people, right? So making sure the workforce is up to speed on how to use AI, what it really means for them, how is it going to be adopted in the workforce, but maintain that HI. I use that a lot, and human intelligence is so critically important when we're dealing with critical assets that need to be Everything needs to be correct. So, and you've seen this in terms of the Maximo application suite itself, going down to level in terms of the actual asset management itself, then it's limitless in terms of the data we can get off assets now, right? So use it. Make sure condition monitoring, reliability, all these types of things are designed into the assets. If you're lucky enough to be able to design new assets, you trap all that data through the build aspects and then use it in operations and maintenance. If you've got existing plant, look at how you can weave in condition monitoring into existing facilities and existing plant to draw as much data as you can and leverage those insights. It's amazing how people are moving from this reactive maintenance or planned maintenance to more predictive maintenance. And predictive maintenance saves you a fortune. Saves you a fortune. So the UK MOD are going that way, right? And imagine how that's going to, it's a big, huge program. But the cost savings are in the billions and billions. We've talked about the evolving skills. So understand what analytics really means, digitization of workflows, using machine learning. What's a twin? What's the twin in your concept, in your context? I've seen commercial twins, financial twins, physical asset twins. There's twins of twins. If you look at a city, you can have a transport twin, a health twin, an education twin, all these types of things they layer on, and then you can map people's journey through the city. So it's just twins are limitless, but what is it within your context? And then security aspects. Like I said before, where's the data? How's it being used? How's it being applied? And can you keep control of it? And we've talked about the optimization side of things there. So there's no rocket science here, right? But what I would say about these use cases today, when we look at predictive maintenance, which head into asset reliability side of things, is becoming more and more important. And if we can get the reliability of the assets up, then obviously we're getting more, we're sweating the assets more and getting more out of them. And reliability, if we're going back to what I said from the outset, an AI data center, for instance, needs to run pretty much 100% of the time. And its power source needs to give it power pretty much 100% of the time. So how do you do that, right? It's all down to that reliability and those strategies around asset management. So that's super important. Anomaly monitoring. So we've seen where you can put analytics on trains, right? And they can monitor the track, and they look at the ballast, the track, everything, and they could do the condition monitoring live and look for any anomalies in that data, and then it starts flagging up to the maintenance crews, there's something iffy there, right? We don't want our trains going down there. So all those types of things are getting more and more accurate and becoming real time. And then asset lifecycle optimization, design reliability in from the outset. So we've seen it so many times where people go on a journey with their CapEx spend and they don't have operations in mind. They're so focused on get the thing built, get the thing built, get the thing built. And that is a small percentage of the total asset costs. When you get into operations and maintenance, if you've not designed in reliability from the outset, it will end up costing an absolute fortune to run that asset or retrofit what you should have done in the design phase. And we've seen that time and time again. So, just in closing, so when you look at Australia and Southeast Asia, you couldn't have a better sort of combination of things. And you just look at Australia as an individual country. You've got the space, you've got the natural resources, you've got the people, you've got everything. You can be an absolute powerhouse in this whole AI revolution. And there's nothing stopping you, right? So I think it's there, and you'll find that private investment will come in thick and fast, or if it's not already. The asset management solutions and services, like I said, the reliability aspects of all this have to be super, super high. So the adoption of things like the Maximo application suite, using AI within your asset management strategies, your reliability strategies, all these types of things is just going to get so important. So as you're working on these things, you are critical to all this happening. And then, like I said, we're obviously, we think the Maximo application suite itself gives you a access to all the capabilities you need to be able to do this. And couple that with what the adoption of WatsonX, bringing that integrity, high integrity AI into play within MAS is just becoming, I think, what Kendra said, we're only at the tip of the iceberg in terms of the capabilities of MAS. So I'm looking forward to 9, 10, 11. I think it's just going to get better and better. That's it. So thank you very much.